Hello, thank you for being in a new video. This time I have the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold in my hands. Let's give you a first impressions tour. Let's get started. For starters, I have to tell you that I find the name the strangest thing about this product. The fact that it has Google Pixel Pro inside this name sounds quite strange because previously they only used Google Pixel Fold, a decision that I personally do not understand, but regardless of the name, join me to know what it can offer us as part of its specifications. So here I have the device. Let me tell you about its specifications. To begin with, we have one of the most important data in the foldable devices section. It's not the thinnest foldable today, but it is thinner than the Galaxy Z Fold, for example. So that will be an important point. However, on the weight, we don't find something that light, coming in at 257 grams. Although it honestly doesn't feel as heavy in the hand as it sounds, but it is a point to take into account. It will not be an exaggeratedly light device, but at least it will be resistant. In this case, we are going to find Gorilla Glass Victus 2 as a level of protection for the glass and also has the IPX8 level of resistance against water. So in that sense, we do find a remarkably rugged device. And in addition to this edition that I have in my hands, which is Obsidian, it's also available in porcelain color that you're seeing on screen right now. The external display on this device is 6.3 inches on its diagonal, and I must say it looks rather odd. I was expecting a slightly more premium device in this regard, as you notice that it has noticeably thick bezels. Even the hinge area is also a rather thick bezel. Watch, with the white color screen, I think it's more noticeable how thick these bezels are. But regardless of having noticeably thick bezels, the advantage is that it gives us a 20:9 screen ratio. That is, the screen in terms of specific size is very similar to what we find on traditional smartphone screens, not necessarily foldable smartphones. However, note that the corner, for example, is also going to give us a very marked bezel. In this aspect, the truth is that I did not like it so much. This screen has full HD plus resolution with 120 Hz in its refresh rate. It is an OLED panel with a peak brightness of 2700 nits when you are visualizing HDR content. So in visualization it is fine, in design maybe I didn't love it. Now with respect to the internal display, we're going to find 8 inches to be exact on its diagonal. This screen is also OLED. It offers us 120 Hz in its refresh rate and a ratio pretty close to being square. The specific resolution is 2076 by 2152 pixels. So if we round up, we're practically talking about a 1:1 ratio, so there wouldn't be too much difference when using the device in some rotation or another. It's basically the same space, and in this case I must say that the fold area is quite marked. It doesn't go as unnoticed as it does on other foldables. In fact, it is very similar to the fold we find in Samsung devices, unlike what we have found lately in proposals such as Oppo, Honor or Huawei. It is still a very good quality screen that will have a peak brightness of 2700 nits when viewing HDR content, and in this case, unlike what we saw in the external display, the bezels are noticeably smaller. In fact, especially compared to past generations of the Pixel Fold, definitely that in this aspect they have evolved significantly. So the internal display I liked much more than the external display. Of course, in this device we will find stereo sound, a speaker above and another speaker below. And something that I find very curious, like pretty much every Pixel, is that the on-off button is on the top, so it can become very confusing when you're using it because usually most smartphones have the power button on the bottom, so it can get quite confusing. A bit of a learning curve that you have to get used to. This device incorporates 2 front-facing cameras, as you realize. In this case, they are pretty simple cameras to say the least. We're talking about 10 megapixel need cameras with FDO's 0.2 aperture. Photography looks very basic, very simple, especially the preview after. Divisions of detail, but honestly I think it is a camera ATC already. As I tell you, both the external front camera as the internal front camera, especially in this type of indoor scenarios where there is not too much lighting. I guess outdoors we will have a result a little more advanced because at least input the front camera seems to me very simple. But with respect to the rear photographic system, definitely that there will be good news. We will find to start with the ultra-wide camera of 10.5 megapixels with f aperture, 2.2 and autofocus, so it also supports macro photography. We will also find then the main camera of 48 megapixels with f aperture, 1.7 autofocus and optical stabilization. And finally, the telephoto camera of 10.8 megapixels with f aperture, 3.1 optical stabilization and optical zoom 5x. So let's quickly test this photographic system. Note that the ultra-wide camera is really very wide. Subsequently, the main camera we are also going to find with a good quality of the result, and then it also offers us the 2x setting with optical quality. We are going to see the optical zoom that we find in the device, which is 5x, and again we take the photograph and observe that it also offers us a 10x digital zoom setting, and the maximum that is able to reach this device is 20x. Then it is not so advanced in this sense, but remember that Google usually gives a quite honest zoom despite the fact that other devices could offer you a higher zoom. The reality of things is that this device at 20x, which is its maximum zoom, offers us excellent quality, unlike other manufacturers that at maximum zoom the result looks very forced, but definitely that it does not have as aggressive zoom capabilities as other devices. So like all foldable bets on a simple front camera, with the hope that you use this feature to be able to deploy the device and use the main cameras as your selfie system, then this would be a better way, since you can take advantage of a very wide angle, a close angle, or whatever you want basically to take pictures, or in fact also to take videos and take advantage of practically all the modes that this device has available in its main system. And with respect to video recording, I want you to observe that if it will allow us to make the dynamic change between each of the cameras, and of course gives us available the resolution 4K up to 60 frames per second, and when recording in this resolution also allows us to switch between each of these cameras, which is excellent news. Although to adapt the interface, look at how you have to rotate the device, and in this case you will finally see how it will change the display area and the controls area. Then somehow it seems that if we have some level of optimization when using the camera, in this case all the settings and all controls appear at the bottom to leave completely free the display area, seems to me that it is well. And speaking of interface, in this case we will find Android 14 as operating system with 7 years of updates, something that will definitely be a fairly strong point. However, let's see if Google has adapted its applications such as Samsung has done, for example. So in this case we are in the view of the month, and see how the device does not really change the type of view of the interface in this application. For example, neither the calculator will see some kind of adaptation at the time of switching to this interface, which is curious because some of the buttons will remain in this interface and the calculator will not change at the time of switching to this interface. Curious because some buttons will remain a little stretched or deformed because they were exactly in that area of the fold. And even though Google is pushing the foldable, it seems that in reality the system applications are not well enough adapted to work in a foldable. For example, when trying to display a picture and we fold the device, notice how it does not adapt as if it happens in the Samsung devices. Then it is very curious, as being a device that comes directly from the creators of Android. In reality, the operating system is not so well adapted to work in a foldable. Actually, the operating system is not so well adapted. The battery of this device is 4,650 milliamp hours and supports charging 21 watts via cable or 7.5 watts wirelessly. In that sense, we also see something simple, especially compared to what we offer. Most Chinese manufacturers also seems to have no reversible wireless charging, which also takes away what one would expect from a high-end device. And finally, in terms of performance, we will find the processor Tensor G4 of Google built in a process that allows us to charge the device in a simple way. 4 of Google built in a process of 4 nanometers in this case also offers configurations of up to 512 gigabytes of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM to have a completely high-end device in this sense. Although the Tensor processor Google has never been characterized by being too powerful, but rather is characterized by being very smart. And precisely this device will incorporate several functions of artificial intelligence, some with local processing, others with processing in the cloud, but the idea is to make the best possible use of this intelligent processor. integrated into this device. If your priority is the games, obviously will not have a graphic power exaggeratedly high, although enough for a lot of users. However, as I say, if it is your priority, if you are going to perceive a feeling that is slightly more powerful than what you might find in other devices. Of course, most artificial intelligence features, you will find them within Google Photos. So in this case, there is the magic editor button. Then you have to upload the photo to the Google Cloud, and after that you could finally get to select objects or people to remove them, or even if you hold down, note that we can resize them here and then make the image processing, and it will give you some suggestions. Then Google is an expert in what has to do with artificial intelligence features applied to the photo editor. In this sense, I think if they have very good experience, but of course it requires internet connection, then watch how I resized in a considerably good way these people who were much further away. The truth is that it is a very good addition, and as I say, we could also simply delete the objects or people who are in the photograph, and likewise does an extraordinary job. When doing this type of processing, however, requires internet connection within the camera. Also, for example, in the video recorder, you can find in the video recorder the image of the people who are in the picture, and then you can see how they are in the picture and how they are in the picture. For example, in the video recorder, we will find some advanced options when trying to record a night video with night sight, since the improvement of the video, as it says here, will take a significant time because it will be completely in the cloud. And of course, through Google Translate, we will also find some artificial intelligence functions such as conversation mode and some similar tools. But of course, this is just a first glimpse of Google Pixel New Pro Fold. I hope you like this video soon. I hope to have more information about it. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. If you like, you can indicate it, and see you next time.